Hey everybody, welcome to Grimm's Forge Gaming. Today we are going to be covering my Stamina Templar Sword Saint. I've been having some fun trying to figure out the best build for him in BGs. CP like campaigns and Imperial City wasn't really a problem for the build that I was running on him, but as soon as we got into BGs, we were running into issues. And the armor set that we were running, we were pushing really high weapon damage. You know, we could probably hit 5 or 6k weapon damage, but our sustain was just terrible. And so, anyways, let's jump into the build here. We're going to look at ourselves. And right now, I am running two-piece Mighty Chudans, and the reason I'm running this is I needed two things. A, I do not like using the defensive rune for my stamina Templar, so like laying that down and then going and fighting was just an extra step when I had other things that I wanted to do. Hit him with a javelin, get power of the light on him, gap close to him and then try and hit him with my jabs, you know. So I've already got a full plate of things that I need to be doing. And so, anyways, the running Mighty Chudans allowed me to not have to do that. Also, because we are running medium armor setup, getting that one piece and two piece bonus from Chudans was really nice. The additional armor and the max health. The next set that we are running is New Moon Acolyte, and basically when New Moon came out, I gave it a go on all of my different builds, whether it be Magic or Stamina, just to see how the cost increase at the bottom there, the 5% cost increase affected the build. Was it something I could cut right into whatever builds I was running, or was it just not enough max stat and leaning too much towards the damage side? And so, anyways, I've been trying really hard to make this the staple set for this, and we're running one heavy and then five light, or five medium, sorry. One heavy, five medium. I could probably afford to either get some heavy legs or a heavy helm, and that way I'd be running the two heavy, maximize my heavy armor um, bonus. It'll give me a little bit more health. The second set that we are running is Hulking Draugr, and I really needed the max stats from this. I tried a lot of other things. I tried some sustain. I tried Ancient Dragon Guard, and that's the armor combo that you can push crazy high weapon damage. Um, you know, if you're running Ancient Dragon Guard and New Moon Acolyte, but if you look at those stats, there's no max stats in there whatsoever on that. It's all weapon damage and crit and pen, and when you look over here, you get some health out of it, and then it's weapon damage and crit. And you know, if you fall under 50% health, you get a little bit more tanky, but really hurting, you know, in the stamina pool side of things. So my primary goal was I wanted to get between 18 and 2200 stamina recovery, so that way I could get into kind of prolonged fights and kind of burn people down. And I definitely, with that set and New Moon, was not able to do that. But I was trying to find another set that I could pair with this, and Hulking Draugr gave me the stamina that I needed to be as active as I wanted to. Now I did have to. I'm still working on the build. By the way, this is a work in progress, but I wanted to share it because I really like the results. I had to put stamina recovery on my jewelry and get rid of weapon damage. You might find that your play style, you can run the weapon damage here and it be no problem, you know, and that'd be another 174 weapon damage, 174 weapon damage, 174. So you could stack up another 400, 500 weapon damage on this build. I haven't had a problem killing most players. Again, we're in a tank meta for sure right now, and they're like wardens, tanky wardens with just ridiculous self heals that have their healing ultimate up every 93 ultimate or whatever. Like there's just a lot of targets right now. You just need to move on to someone else and maybe drop your two-hand ult on them and see, what you can do. But very tanky meta right now. So, anyways, let's buff up and we're going to look at these stats here real quick. Looking at the stats, see stamina recovery just a little over 2,000 stamina recovery, weapon damage 3,732. That's pretty good. Our physical resistance and spell resistance stays right here static because we're running Chudans. So for a medium armor build, I feel tanky in this. I have a video out. It's nothing special. I think I went 8-0. I just put the build together and I wanted to kind of dip my toes in in the battlegrounds and kind of see how it was working out. And then later in the video, I start kind of getting in and mixing it up a little bit more, but it felt really good. My crit resistance, I like to be between 1500 and 2500. I do have a build on a stamina warden that runs more than that, which we'll get out to everybody, but our max stamina is 32,000, and this actually will hit 40,000 had I not put my attribute points this way. But the problem was I was at 40,000 max stamina, great, but my max health was at 17,000. And so that puts me at 22,000 health in Battlegrounds. And I wasn't really liking that. I want to be at 25 to 26,000 in Battlegrounds. So or sorry, in like Imperial City and stuff like that, where you get the 5k additional health. And so that max health or whatever, I was like, how can we set our attributes up so that way we can at least get 20k health? And 32 is not bad at all, especially with 2k recovery when this is buffed. So that's the stats right there. This is a work in progress. Our Mundus that we're running is the Warrior. We're pushing more weapon damage, and I'm using a Smoked Bear Haunch, which has worked out really well. It's not, we don't need to push a max stat type food because we're running Hulking Draugr, and so recovery was the way to go. And let's look at our abilities here. Unbuffed, we're running Crit Rush, so that way we can deal 50% more damage when we're traveling at distance. I think that's important if we're using our combination where we've got Power of the Light on them and then we're going to Crit Rush to them. We want Crit Rush to do almost come close to that 2000 maximum copy damage. We want to put a lot into it because there's no guarantee that your biting jabs are going to land right now. The game seems a little buggy as far as hitting abilities and hitting targets, but I'm sure they'll sort that out. Anyways, so biting jabs is our primary spammable, and it gives us major savagery, so our weapon crit increases at that point. And then we're running reverse slice. I like the splash damage from this. And both of these things will apply a lot of pressure to a group. So we're running Power of the Light, and we're running Rallies for that burst heal. And then over here we have Onslaught, and Onslaught's been working well for me. There are some people it blows up, but the really tanky people, it only helps me kind of turn the corner on them and start getting an edge on them. There are people out there that are just so dang tanky right now. So anyways, two-hand ult, definitely a way to go. And I'm still working on my bow on the back. I was actually running dual wield back here, but I really missed having like a long range poke or the ability to get stamina back. If I'm running low on resources, I can disengage from the front line and put some heavy attacks into the enemies in the front line and get some stamina back and go back in. Well, that was my thought process. Now that we have 2k regen and our max stats are looking good, I might be able to get rid of the bow, and we'll see. But anyways, we were running short on space, and I'd already talked about this, so Chudans made sense for me. If I were to drop Chudans on my back bar, which one of these abilities is it going to take the place of? My hard CC? Not really. I want that, and elude, which I'm still leveling. But this is really nice because while this effect is active, when you take damage from a direct area of effect attack, you gain major expedition for 6 seconds, increasing your movement speed by 30%. And this is up often, and I forgot whose video I was watching on it, but they brought that point up as well. Like, there's a lot of area of effect direct damage, like shocks and subterranean assault, and biting jabs and puncturing sweeps are considered direct damage and area of effect. And anyways, this triggers a lot, and in that moment I can dance around the targets. So if I weren't running this, I might run the Sigic Order channeled acceleration and get that movement speed and more crit, but that might be the trade-off down the road. But right now we're on elude. Repentance, if you're a stamina Templar, you pretty much got to be running Repentance. And while slotted, you gain minor fortitude, minor endurance, minor intellect, and all of your recoveries are increased by 10%, so that's good. Ritual of Retribution does a little bit of a dot or damage over time, and it's got a heal coming in, and it purifies a negative effect, and so this is pretty much a must for Stamina Templar. The little bit of heals that come in from this is good, and then we're running Resolving Vigor for our burst heal. And then I'm running Remembrance currently on this back bar, just as much as save teammates as save me. There are times, actually in the video, I think I saved somebody really early in the fight. They were about to get killed, and I hit this and it saved them. But so that's my back bar. I wouldn't be able to pull that back bar off if I wasn't running Chudan. So you're going to want to get all your class passives and all your two-hand passives, all your bow passives. Here I'm still working on bow and don't have my passives, but never mind that. And medium armor, I'm running, you'll want to have all your passives in that, and then the first 3 passives in your heavy armor. And once I get that second heavy armor piece, these stats will increase, so that will be great. We're not a werewolf or a vampire on this, so we're just a regular human, and we are a red guard, and so red guard works out really well. Reduce the cost of your weapon abilities by 8%, and I could only imagine how hard it would have been earlier when I was trying the different builds without that, for sure. And max stamina is increased by 2,000, and when you deal direct damage, you restore 950 stamina, and that can occur every 5 seconds, so this helps with sustain. Let's look at our CP. Right now we have nothing in the Apprentice, and Physical Weapon Expert, we have 60. That's my soft cap. I don't normally like to go over 60 because of diminishing returns or diminishing gains, but anyways, 60 in Physical Weapon Expert makes my light and heavy attacks land 30%, 29% harder, so that's pretty significant. Mastered Arms, I got 60 in there, so we're just under 21% additional damage, so our biting jabs and javelin, pretty much any attacks in the game that are direct damage, really heavy attacks that could chunk off a lot of life, are going to fall under Mastered Arms. So Precise Strikes, we've got 60 in there, puts us just under 20% crit damage, 21% crit damage. We're running 30 for that, 2,600 or yeah, 2,692 additional physical pen, and mighty physical damage is increased by 12%. Ironclad, we are running 60, just under 21%, so this is going to protect me against those big heavy hits. I have 60 in Spell Shield, and so picking up another 4,435 spell resistance is pretty nice. And we are running some crit resistance as well, 1,000. and coming over here to the Lord, it looks like we've got 50 into healing received. So this could probably get bumped up. Healing as a stamina Templar has been one of my biggest concerns in the past, or one of my biggest downfalls. Like repentance wasn't feeling like it was getting it done. There really needed to be 3 targets on the ground. One was not cutting it, 1 target on the ground, and your vigor is still, even though it's short duration, it's still just a hot. So if you're under some pressure, that's trouble. Warlord, I've got 30 right now. You will be CC'd in PvP, and you're going to need to break free from it. If I were going to move any CP around, I would dump more on that. And I've got 60 in Mooncast, 60 in Arcanus, and 60 in Tenacity. And now that I like where the build's at, as far as regen and max stat, I might be able to take some out of this and actually bump it over there. So we'll have to play that by ear. And tumbling, I don't do much blocking on this. I don't do much sneaking around on this. So tumbling was the play for me. And along those lines, if I were to ever switch out hulking, I might actually switch it out for Crusaders. And that's a set I'm running on my Mandalorian build, Mando build. And if you haven't heard about the Crusader set, watch that video and you can see the benefits of it. But it basically doubles your dodge duration. So you dodge roll, and then basically it's almost like you dodge roll again. Things are just missing you. And because I don't hide on this build, and where I'm basically, you know where to find me, the Crusader set might be a better set than hulking. And so right now I'm putting together a full impen setup for that to see how it goes. And I think on Mando I have a full divine set because he's sneaky and just doesn't take a lot of damage. It's hard to pin him down. Nothing under the apprentice, and we already went through this. Boom. Let's go back here, and we are going to look at buffed up again real quick before we... Alright. So we are running disease enchant, and I wanted to look at our tooltips here. So 3600 on this, 6K on that, and our onslaught 17. And I think that if I were to put a weapon glyph on this instead of some poisons, we could definitely be pushing 4K weapon damage, but or change your enchant on your jewelry or whatever. But I hadn't really had a hard time killing the non-tanky players, if that makes sense. So like if they're in light armor or medium armor, we can burn them down quick. And but that is the build, everyone. Thanks for joining.